Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Attic Phrogs podcast for episode 6, Silas.
Yes, Brian, we've really put a lot of stuff on record here.
Yeah, I was sitting pretty far away from my mic when we did that, so, maybe we can move me over with some kind of animation afterwards or in AI. I think there's just about anything that
there's a lot of stuff we could do.
Yeah, well, anyway, sorry about that. I started the thing a little weird, but nonetheless, man, what a crazy week it's been.
It seems like every week is this crazy week.
Fucking crazier and crazier every time you look.
Yeah.
So what's the craziest thing that's come across your news feed lately?
I mean, if we're talking politically, definitely sending a giant fleet of ships over to Iran.
That was the big thing that shook you up a little bit. No, did it freak you out like we're going to go to war?
Yeah,
you think they're sending a message like
Trump's... Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good possibility.
Yeah.
The way the tension right now over there, sure. Yeah,
it's kind of
it's on edge.
Right. Well, you told me that they sent the USS Abraham Lincoln and it was down in Venezuela. Is that the one that they sent?
I'm pretty sure that was the one that they had down there for that whole taking Nicolas Maduro out of Venezuela.
Trump's like, I'll send the goon squad then. You don't want to do what I want, just fine by me. I know who to call. I don't call Ghostbusters. I call the goon squad. I call him. I don't call him that. Other people call him that.
He's always got to throw something.
Yeah, he's going to brand it in some way. Yeah. I don't think he's going to call him the goon squad, especially since gooners are people who watch too much porn. I think that's what my kids. My kids have their own language. That
And he just distance from the Epstein as much as possible, but
Epstein list is crazy too.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a while, but I mean, sending all those ships over to Iran, it's a hot tension over there right now.
I saw like a satellite image that showed a bunch of roofs that they put up over the word their nuclear facilities.
Yeah, so they can rebuild.
Just put up the roof, and he won't even notice. It was kind of an eyesore, so I don't blame him for.
I mean, it's kind of silly if you think about it because like they're blocking out the construction work, but we know it's in the same exact spot, right? So it's like, what's the point?
I don't know. It's all just comes down to what can you prove? It's like they don't care. They know Trump, and they're going to try to get a nuclear bomb. They're always going to try. They probably have one. I don't know what they've got going on, but Trump bombed the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But I remember when Trump bombed him last time, certain experts that can't say anything nice about Trump, quite frankly, but they came out and said that there's no way that they dropped the bombs far enough into the ground. Like they use some kind of bunker buster bombs where they go in and they throw, I think they soften it up with a bunch of bombs, and then they send this real mother effer down there.
Yeah. I forget the name of it, but
it's like the Moab. Is it the mother of all? No, it's not it. But they have the mother of all bombs.
It was something bunker buster. But anyways, and we have the technology, the precision on those things is insane. Man. I mean, they can probably hit a dime on
they'll hit a flea's nipples, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, they can hit just about anything.
So
they've been able to do that for a long time too. Like
the U.S. has got we've got high good technology, man.
Yeah, so, we do. We got stuff that they don't tell us about. I'm sure that's always what they say. But yeah. Well, I mean, I'm really curious if he's going to go in and try the same thing, like the little whoopsie do where you go in and just pull out the leaders in the night. Is going to hit them with the sound weapons. Like,
what do you call it? The discombobulator?
Yeah, the discombobulator. I call it.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to talk about that.
I'm not allowed to turn it up anymore. They said, Mr. President, you're not allowed to touch the knob anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy, man. Whatever it was, and I don't think it was the acoustic weapons that we already had.
Yeah,
I think it was something else.
It could have been
from the sounds of it because I looked into those acoustic ones, and they don't make you like bleed from the nose, and it was
well,
pretty.
They got like ultra low frequency, so the shit comes in at like this super low frequency that's so disruptive to the human system that it just wreaks havoc.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
I feel like they've been maybe like a friend of mine. We're talking once back in the day. I used to watch like Alex Jones documentaries and stuff on YouTube, and I always felt like, man, they could like stick ultra low frequency, embedded ultra low frequency things to disturb people and make them not want to watch this stuff. Yeah, because every once in a while I'd like not feel good. I'd be watching it was probably just not feeling good. It was a coincidence, but my buddy said he had the same kind of experience. Probably not true, but they could do that. They can embed, frequencies into what you watch.
Yeah.
Just like when you turn on the TV, it puts you into like some sort of beta state. I don't remember. There's like, different states of the waking mind.
Sure.
And they can put you into a hypnotic trance. Yeah. And even the frequency they use for the TV, they changed it all so that it would be the hypnotic frequency.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard on
have to look that up
Netflix these days, they're doing, I forget what it is. They're like they're actually repeating things in the like in the content, like in the what the characters are saying. They'll like repeat it intentionally because they know that people aren't paying attention.
What the hell? What do you mean? Like, give me an example.
Well, I mean, any of the shows that they're making on Netflix these days, they might deliberately have a character say something twice within like a short period of time because people are on their phones on the couch.
Wow.
And so it's an actual like mental trick
This
to
is
get people
something
to
they
pay
were doing.
attention.
So they'll say it twice to wake them out of it. Like, if they hear something twice, it's supposed to snap their attention back
it's
in.
just they're more likely to follow the storyline.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of hypnotic stuff is used like in the news. Like I was talking in the last podcast about why I don't trust the mainstream news. And a big part of it is that you hear the reporter's cadence. They're like, and officials say that there will be more answers after they get back to session later this month, or whatever. And they always have that same reporter's cadence, they call it, where they go to broadcast school and they get taught to speak in that way. And it induces a hypnotic trance. There's a reason they all speak that way.
Yeah.
And then on the screen, if you look, they'll have the time and the temperature, and it'll change like every 5 seconds. It'll turn or something. They'll have some animation. That's also a hypnotically. People look at that and they wait for it to turn, and they're getting suggestions the entire time.
Right.
And it's like as soon as you turn on any mainstream news, look at the animation, folks. Look at what's going on with like the swirling things in the background. That's slowly. It's just the watch ticking back and forth.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know a lot about hypnosis, but I've watched enough of it to be amazed that people just get put out into this like subconscious state where they're asleep.
Yeah, there's definitely tricks they're playing. They figured it out over time.
We are programmable as can be, man.
Yeah. Subliminal, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's similar to subliminal messages.
It is. There's a lot of that too, absolutely. So, that's why like I speak out so much. Now, whether I'm right or wrong, I do know that they're implementing these hypnotic tendencies across the airwaves, subliminals and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they sell people narratives based, by using trigger words and by saying certain words. Like anytime you say the word Trump, they've got that to immediately trigger people to anger on the left, I think. And they hear any message, they will immediately put a negative connotation to it.
Well, and being
consciously,
Well, and being a graphic designer too, like I noticed the graphics they use,
right?
And so, like for example, it has nothing to do anything against any specific channel or anything, but like on Fox News, for example, they use these graphics, and they're usually fairly comical, right? The way that they're designed, they're funny. The content that's in there is funny.
It's like childlike.
Some of it could be childlike. It's almost more. I want to say more like cartoonish, but
that's why they always speak to people like children on the news. They're like talking about aliens and shit, and they'll be like, "And this is some more stuff that's truly out of this world." I mean, every single mainstream news alien broadcast they say that. But so like you notice a really childlike.
I wouldn't necessarily call it childish. It's just more comical, man.
Comical in what way? Like,
well, they'll be making fun of something, and the way that the graphic. I mean, I would have to pull one up to show you.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, like CNN doesn't do any of that. It's almost it's something that I think was used more decades ago.
Yeah, that's right.
I forget. There's probably a name for those graphics, but they're like it's a splash graphic to just get your attention.
Yeah,
and a lot of the times, Fox uses comedy.
Yeah, I think the right.
It's entertaining. It's more entertainment than it is like necessarily topical to the news.
Well, when you're telling the truth, like on the right-wing news, when you're telling the truth, you can chill and relax a little and make some jokes.
Right.
You don't have to keep up with this lie that they're all person on the left.
It probably has.
They do it on Fox too. I don't trust Fox any more than I trust MS Now or any of them.
Yeah,
I don't even watch it. I'll get some news from it, but always with a skeptical mindset.
Right.
You can't let them sucker you into some mindset.
Right. Well, they have to cater to their audience.
So. Yeah, they do. But, Rupert Murdoch or whoever's in charge now, you look into all these people and, how they did Tucker Carlson and stuff. It's like, you can't trust any of them. They tried to keep the information on January 6th, all the footage that came out from the security cameras that basically exonerated most people, mostly old ladies.
Speaking out as an anchor, you're going to get canned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to, and you better speak in the cadence. You better do it well.
Unless maybe it's MSNBC, and
yeah. So it's funny to, some people suck at being reporters, but as long as they have the cadence and they read what's on the screen, they're fine.
I think it would be a hard job to, stay neutral on a lot of stuff.
But, I don't know if you even have an option. On like mainstream news, you got to read the teleprompter.
Yeah.
And you read just how they put it up there. There's no chance to be he about anything. Well, but anyway, so they're sending all these suckers over to Iran. We'll see if we fight them. So Trump was saying, he was saying that bad things will happen, if they don't.
Well,
There's some
so
summit, right?
I
What
mean,
did you see about a summit?
he went over there, in a military force to show power,
Yeah.
right? And it was a tactic to get them to listen,
Right. Of
right?
course. Yeah.
And so and
he
then
plays hardball.
yeah, and then I think it was on Tuesday he actually said, "Okay, I'm willing to have some conversation with you, and let's have a summit on Friday and tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow."
Well, that's the thing about Trump. Trump has the art of the deal, right? So he'll always come in with a real hard ask or
That's
the
exactly
big number, and then he'll soften you up for like something that's a little above where you were comfortable with before.
So yeah, and then they were seesawing on the topics that were going to be allowed to be discussed, right?
Yeah, right. That's right. Well, it's going to be, what was it, a summit in Oman?
Yeah,
the Muscat Summit, not the Muskrat Summit. Maybe it's the Muskrat Summit.
Yeah.
They all get to, it's like Puxatawny Phil, but they're like, let's see what the muskrat does. Let's see if there'll be thermonuclear war. If it sees its if we blow a mini nuke over it and it's just left with a shadow on the wall, like in Nagasaki.
We just passed Groundhog's Day.
We did, yeah. Puxatawny, he ran in, he saw his damn shadow, didn't he?
Yeah. Bill Murray's so funny in that.
Oh, that was a great movie.
He gets to the point where he's just like waking up in the morning. He's like, I can't do this again. Just goes, drives his truck off the cliff,
Yeah.
He tries to hook up with his co-anchor there a couple times. I think he got her in bed one time by the end of the day.
He ended up getting her in bed eventually.
Right.
Yeah, and then he woke up the next day with her and it was over. But that was a great movie, man. Bill Murray was a great actor.
Yeah.
Really kind of homely fellow, but had enough charisma to get any woman he wanted, I think. Bill Murray did well.
that Punxsutawney event that they do? It's hilarious. There's like an order of like old gentlemen that they get elected in and they wear like top hats.
Jesus Christ.
And then they take this groundhog out of a box and they hold it up.
Protesters from PETA.
Somebody pays somebody to, bet on whether the winter's going to be longer or not. And someone gets paid off and then.
Yeah. I wonder if they mess with Puxatawny ahead of time or how's he treated ahead of time? Is he drugged? Is he treated nicely? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
We need an expose.
Yeah.
They got to make sure he runs out of the hole. So somebody's got a little pokey thing in there. I bet you they jab him with a stick, those bastards.
Right, and then they get bit in the hand or something.
He's sitting down in a stump somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, Puxatawny Phil. The rest of the year, he's a nobody.
Yeah.
But that one day a year, he probably freaks out. He's like, what the hell's going on? I wonder if they got a new one every year or if it's the same one.
Yeah, you wouldn't know, would you?
Yeah, it'd be like a weird torture for that thing. Once a year, he's just out with a bunch of screaming monkey giants that are like watching him run around and freaking out and playing instruments. They're making movies about it.
Yeah, it goes without saying that we got 6 more weeks of winter coming this year.
Yeah, but winter sucks right now, man. It's so cold. It's going to be 5 degrees. It's going to be below zero up here in upstate New York. It really sucks. Well, anyway, real quick, it'll be, since I found it, I have like this little stack of pictures I stuck up in this like little locker thing on my shelf, and one of them was of me. I think I was 17, but it's me on a aircraft carrier. I had a relative that was a navigator on an aircraft carrier down in Norfolk. So on a family vacation, we stopped in and we ended up getting a tour of the carrier, which was cool as hell, man, because he was a big cheese. So we got right on, nobody said anything.
Yeah.
And I got to sit in the chair and, I got these, I'll have to show the picture.
Yeah, show it, man. It's a cool picture.
We're not really set up for like screen sharing this with.
Well, it's a physical copy, but yeah.
See if I can get this across here. There you go. Is it in the screen? Oh, there you go. See, there I am. I'm in the chair.
A little higher.
This is not working.
There it is.
Yeah, I'm in the captain's chair. I'm pretty sure. I got a shitty look on my face because I was an insecure teen. But I bought those Jordan 5s from a secondhand store in Norfolk, and they were fire, man. I still had those. They'd be worth some money.
Yeah, right. For sure, man.
On a real live aircraft carrier way back.
Yeah.
Then. If they only knew who the hell they were letting on the aircraft carriers.
I mean, those
disruptive podcaster.
Those suckers that's a big ship, man.
Yeah, man.
They got 5,000 crew.
Yeah, they're huge. There was nothing I had any interest in being a part of, but it was cool to go on there. But yeah, the coolest part of this picture of the Jordan 5s, man. I wish I had those. Those would be worth like $1,200 now.
Those are some pretty cool shoes back then.
Yeah, I got my kid some reproductions. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Of those exact same shoes for his birthday.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, so Iran, let's hope we don't go to a war with them. I think we can just use some funky new weapons and shut them up pretty quick.
Right. Well, as of right now, I mean, we, from what we saw just in the last half an hour is they're planning to have the talks tomorrow.
Yeah.
It can always fall apart, but
Trump said no nuclear program.
They had 3 provisions that he's going to basically, he said, yeah, I'll talk to you, but these are the three hardline things that that we're going to have to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, one of them was no nuclear program,
Yeah.
no ballistic missiles,
Right.
or even missile program whatsoever.
Right.
And then also you can't fund any, terrorist organizations in the Middle East.
Oh, that's the three things that Trump. These are the stipulations if they don't want to get blown to kingdom.
Exactly.
Come.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we'll see. Maybe they've got some bargaining chips. I'm sure they've got some strange bedfellows and dark alliances. They've got money. Apparently, like they got a bunch of money on pallets. So maybe they'll just send them another bunch of pallets of cash and they'll be cool. Either way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We just don't want things to escalate. We're in a very sticky situation globally, but I'm glad we have strong leadership that's not a globalist, front man for, people who don't have American sovereignty at heart, and they don't have our best interests at heart. Let's put it that way as a country. I think that they'd rather be a global government. Speaking of which, all this Epstein stuff came out, and there was this banned interview that I saw that Vlad TV, and Vlad TV is this guy, DJ Vlad, who was a San Francisco guy that made a lot of mixtapes, and he was kind of a pioneer of internet mixtapes and stuff. And he's been involved in the hip hop industry for years. And so he does these great interviews. He's like the premier, I'd say, hip hop community interviewer.
Yeah.
And somehow he got a hold of the banned interview of Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I looked up how he got it, thinking maybe he bought it, but apparently it was all released in the Epstein files, and he was just smart enough to put it up on his platform. So I'm pretty sure that's how he got a hold of it.
There's his YouTube page.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. There's a screen share. So, yeah, it was this really weird candid. It seemed like they went back, like Steve Bannon and Epstein, and it was kind of a candid interview. And he said some really interesting things in it.
Yeah.
That one of which was he talked about being on the Rockefeller Foundation board, which was weird. So this was all like high academic, like it was a who's who.
I haven't watched it, so you'll have to fill in on that.
Like to have somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, who's no academic, up on the board of the Rockefeller Foundation, I suppose is what it was. It was started by John D. Rockefeller, who, interestingly enough, used to live around here.
Really?
Like Richford, New York, I think it was. But out that way, there's Rockefeller Road is just this dirt road, and my buddy used to rent a little place on it.
Yeah.
It's way out in the middle of nowhere, and apparently the Rockefellers lived there, and David Rockefeller's birthplace was out there.
Okay.
And all that's left of it now is like a bunch of stones, like field stones that had this basement in the foundation. It was just a little house, but it says that was his birthplace.
Was he born poor?
No, not at all.
Oh, so
I have no idea what they were doing out there with the farmhouse, but they sure as hell weren't poor. And apparently the Rockefellers used to ride through Moravia and the neighboring towns and throw money out of their horse and buggy that would be a horse-drawn carriage. They'd ride through, and all the village people would come out, and they'd throw them, whatever they had, bags of change. I don't know what the fuck they threw them, but this was stories around it. So there was a lot of history with like Illuminati families in this area, upstate New York.
Right.
But anyway, I actually grabbed a stone from the foundation once, but I put it back.
Souvenir?
I don't think you're allowed to take that. It's a historic site. I was like, I better not take this. But yeah, so he went from being on the board of Rothschild to then he got on the Trilateral Commission. And if you don't know what that is, most people don't. It was this like world government forum, the most elite people of the world government. David Rockefeller started this along with Zbigniew Brzezinski and Henry Kissinger. And so it was like they set policy for the global government, basically, but without announcing that it's a global government. So why they would have Jeffrey Epstein on there is anybody's guess. But Bannon was asking him, like, how did a schmuck like you get on any of this stuff? And how'd you get into the Trilateral Commission at age 30? Right. He hadn't done anything. And he gave some squirmy answer because he was saying, like, the people that were part of the Trilateral Commission, they would be introduced with this long academic. Would you like some of that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So this long academic list of achievements professionally and whatever. And they, had these grand introductions. And then they said, well, what do you want for your introduction, Jeffrey? And he goes, I just want to say a good kid. So who the hell is this guy? Yeah. Right? Why? How can he talk like, and he said they didn't like that idea, but I'm sure it turns out that he is the representative of the Rothschild family.
Okay.
The Rothschild family is the power behind all the central banking in the world. They're basically the overlords of the world. When you hear of Israel, the people who run Israel are the Rothschild. I don't know, you can look up their history. They apparently took over great amounts of fortune, way back in like the Napoleonic Wars or something. I may have that wrong, but there's a history that I've seen about it, how they gained like banking power in England and different places.
Mm.
And they've taken over whole economies of countries for years, and then they'll set up central banks and issue the currency. And the United States has their currency issued by a Rothschild central bank, the Federal Reserve.
Oh, the Federal Reserve is.
Yeah. Now,
okay.
people who are smarter than me, I could be wrong about that it's Rothschild owned, but as far as I understand it, the Rothschilds, in some way or another, either started these central banks or still are in control of them in some way, even clandestinely. I'm not sure if it's like out in the open. Nonetheless, apparently he was their representative, is what I'm hearing. So that's how he was basically, he had the life.
Wasn't there like a lot of mystery around how Epstein even got all his money?
Nobody could.
Right.
Yeah, because he was just,
huh.
Yeah, people gave him money because he had all the power in the world. And he was basically doing what everybody thought he was doing. It was setting up these, I forget what they call them, a red hawk or a red robin. There's some name for it in the CIA that I heard earlier, but they set people up in these honeypot operations with women that will compromise them, and then they get evidence to blackmail. And that's what his island was all about. They had people go out there and they'd get caught in compromising situations. They'd probably drug them like Diddy parties. You want more of this?
Yeah, one more. Yeah.
Now, this is that melted strawberry from a couple of podcasts ago. It might knock you out of the game here. We'll see. Anyway, really, I'll put it out for now. Really interesting stuff coming out. Disgusting stuff too. I'm hearing like a lot of this stuff that I've heard for years about like Satanism and child sacrifice and all this crazy stuff. Like people aren't ready for this information. Have you looked into any of that stuff that people have talked about for years about like ritual satanic abuse, child sacrifice with?
Not a whole lot. I mean, you hear about it in people blame, people in positions of power a lot, I think the Clintons have been blamed of having some of that going on, right? Well,
certainly a lot of people get killed. They commit suicide or they end up in plane crashes around the Clintons and also around the Bush family. There's been researchers like David Icke and different people who've laid out, a lot in their books, like all these people who died in similar circumstances. Either they committed suicide or they died in a plane crash or a car crash. There's lots of ways you can kill somebody off and make it look like an accident, especially if you have access to, certain types of assets.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're dumping all the files out with the Epstein stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
And I heard it's like the soft stuff is what's come out so far. And they're just kind of letting people absorb that shock before I don't know what else is coming out.
I think they said about half of it might be released at this point.
Yeah, I shudder to think what else is in those.
I know. Well, if they already releasing stuff last weekend and then like do it not redacting things correctly.
Well, I'm seeing different things now. Some of it's more shocking than others. Just being associated with this. But I saw that David Copperfield, the magician, was actually implicated, and the FBI just said there was a clear connection between Epstein and Copperfield, and that. They didn't elaborate with AI, or at least I didn't look at, but they said he used a notebook to track women he was with, and he provided Epstein with complimentary tickets to his shows. I'm not sure what the connection is there. Right. Like, did Epstein procure women for Copperfield, or was Copperfield just kind of a horny dude that kept a notebook of all the girls? He had a residency out in Vegas for years. I'm sure it was no problem to get beautiful women.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a million spy. Well, even maybe he's not. So we got to figure out, I've got to dig into, there's a lot of people being named that are associated with the Epstein files that didn't actually do anything wrong. Like Joe Rogan, for instance, was mentioned.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan was only in there because they tried to get him to meet with, he had this guy in a show, I forget who it was, but he tried to get him to meet with Epstein and Woody Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
At the same time?
So he tried to get him to meet with Epstein, and Rogan looked him up, and he got back to the guy. He goes, this guy's like a child predator. He's like a convicted child predator. I'm not meeting with him. Yeah. And he goes, well, he's actually not, and neither is Woody Allen, who wants to meet you too, who's clearly a predator, The guy had Soon Yi. He was dating his adopted, married his adopted daughter, Soon Yi, and was making, advances on her as soon as she got there as a kid, I guess, according to what I've heard. Did a lot of awful things.
I haven't heard much about that, but I know what you're talking
about. I hear
it's
all alleged. I mean, because the guy's still walking around, so it's alleged, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, you were right. I mean, a lot of names definitely are coming up in there because he was a famous person in power that hung out with a lot of famous people. So
he's
there might be, someone's name, like you said, like Joe Rogan, who just was contacted, and it's in an email. His name's in an email, and that was it.
Yeah, and Trump kind of like looked out between his hands. He's like, oh, I've gotten vindicated. I'm not in there. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. There's a lot of other people who are implicated very strongly, I must say. Yeah, and other people that are, I'm sure, scrambling, like Bill Clinton. Now, Bill Clinton was supposed to testify in front of Congress on this, and he refused, and they held him in contempt of Congress, or threatened to hold him in contempt.
Yeah, I heard that. Him and
so now
Hillary, too, was supposed to.
I'm sure Hillary.
Wasn't she supposed to testify, too?
Now, Bill Clinton is a stone cold piece of shit on the stand. He isn't going to give them anything. He's going to sit there and waste everybody's time, and he's going to just look old and pathetic, and he's going to be like, you know, I don't recall. That's all you're going to hear the whole time is, I don't recall. Yeah. Why wouldn't why would he say anything
He's a
else?
Professional at that.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you remember when the whole Monica Lewinsky came out and he's like,
oh yeah, well,
that depends on what your definition of is. You know, that's not a great Bill Clinton impression, but they said,
did he say that?
Yeah. He's like, if it meant is as in is and never was, or he was talking about whether he had sexual relations.
Yeah.
Like with the lady, and he was twisting the word.
Trying to talk his way out.
Oh man, it was unbelievable. Anybody can look up what the definition of is with Bill Clinton and see what a fucking scumbag this dude is on the stand. So I'm still looking forward to it. I want to watch him squirm a little bit. He's a piece of shit. The guy was a convicted, sexual predator. Paula Jones. There was a lot of women who came forward with Bill Clinton. Yeah. And you can go into Bill Clinton's past in Mena, Arkansas. There's movies made about it. His connections to possible alleged cocaine trafficking.
Well, there's a lot of pictures of him in the Epstein files, that's for sure.
Those people have been followed by a lot of corruption, and where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot more may come out. It may not. Who knows? They protect these people, it seems like. Trump's definitely protecting the world order, I think. Now stuff may come out about him. I'm not sure. Maybe they're just holding it back.
Yeah.
And that eventually they won't be able to hold it back. That's possible. And there's a lot of people on the left that I've seen who think that's the case. Like, they're convinced he's a pedophile, which is crazy to me. Because
he's been convicted of sex crimes too. But
the only thing that Trump got convicted of was the E. Jean Carroll case. Did you see much about that? Do you know anything about the E. Jean Carroll case?
Yeah, I mean, when was that? Like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
What do you remember about that?
Yeah, he was. He didn't get actually convicted, right? What do they call it? He was
found liable.
For rape, basically.
Well, not for sexual assault of some kind. Yeah. So with this case, this lady E. Jean Carroll is nuttier than a squirrel turd.
Well,
she got on Anderson Cooper, and if you haven't seen the interview with her and Anderson Cooper, he goes. She's like, I wasn't ravaged. He didn't throw me down. It wasn't sexy. This wasn't sexual. It just hurt. And he goes, Anderson Cooper goes, I think most people think of rape as being, a violent assault. She goes, I think most people think of rape as being sexy. Think of the fantasies. That's what she fucking said. And he goes, shit, he said. And he goes, well, we're going to go take a commercial and we'll come back. And we'll talk some more. And she goes, well, you're fascinating to talk to. I've seen this fucking video like 10 times. It's nuts. This lady's nuts. She has a property. She's an old, advice columnist. She came clearly. And she has this property. She paints her trees blue, dude. I mean, the lady
paints blue, huh?
She's over the cuckoos, I'm telling you. And she claims that Trump took her into some Bergdorf from whatever the hell this department store was, and took her into some dressing room. The entire thing was outrageous. Like, none of it lined up with reality. It was like she was claiming to wear clothes that didn't exist yet, that hadn't been designed yet. She was claiming to be. The whole thing was nuts. Trump couldn't even defend himself, and they wouldn't allow them to see that Anderson Cooper footage or anything. None of that was admissible. And she ended up getting awarded with some ridiculous amount of money, like $365 million. Now, they changed the laws so that the statute of limitations, they turned it into they made it like a 1-year exception to the law where women could come forward with no statute of limitations and claim sexual assault in the state of New York, I believe. And that allowed E. Jean Carroll to come all these years later and tell this outrageous story. That was probably
the statute of limitations.
Yes.
All right,
dude, you got to look into this case, bro.
No, I mean,
when people just say, Trump was assault. It's so people flippantly say, well, Trump was convicted of rape, wasn't he? Fuck no, dude. The whole thing's a goddamn debacle. It's a sham. So, and if you didn't look into it, you won't know it. If you just accept people say, oh, you got convicted of rape. Oh, that's that. Look into it a little bit, guys. But nonetheless, if it comes out that he is some creep, I wouldn't be that surprised. I mean, the dude was a pimp back in the day. Yeah. He's got a skyscraper in New York City with his name emblazoned in gold. He lives up in a palatial, penthouse apartment up there. In New York City, you hit the streets in New York City, there's an energy in the city.
Yeah.
That's like nowhere else on earth. That song by Jay-Z, that New York song.
Yep.
The chorus of that song is so right on. Like you hit the street. Like when I go to New York City, which I didn't do a lot of in my life, but when I go, I don't want to get off the street. I just want to walk around on the streets because of the energy and the people. And you just see
It
these
does
people.
have a buzz down
You
there.
feel like you can become anything. I
Yeah.
feel like, you
Yeah.
know, and weird shit's happened to me down in the city. Like it's a magical place.
I've only visited a few times.
Yeah,
you know,
I haven't been a
briefly.
ton of times, man,
Yeah.
but I always loved it when I have. But nowadays, I'd be scared to go down there with Mom Dami or whatever the fuck his name is.
Oh,
But
there.
excuse my language. Anyway, yeah, I'm not real into the political scene down there. I certainly wasn't into the forced vaccine requirements that were going on in the city during COVID. Like you couldn't go into anywhere if you didn't have a vaccine card in the city.
Right.
Like they were forcing people to get vaccinated. In New
Yeah,
York
I
City.
got they shut down pretty quick there.
Dude, it was weird.
Yeah.
But people just forget about all that stuff. That wasn't that long ago. But yeah, so back to Epstein, crazy stuff coming out on that. You know, there's going to be more and more. If Trump is implicated in the, you know, like I was saying, he was a playboy back in the day. He had Miss Teen USA. There's always people who want the fast track to fame, you know, with beautiful daughters and things, you know, who knows what's going on.
Right.
You know, and I feel like if there was something that would have come out already a long time ago. Like, I just don't see him holding on to some damning evidence for Trump. And you know what I mean?
Hey, well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see what do we know? But check out some of that footage if you get a chance, that Bannon interview.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But these ritual sacrifices and things like that are part of it are really freaky. Like this Marina Abramovic lady always comes up when people talk about Satanism. Like you had a picture of her there, didn't you, Marina?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So she's famous for doing these rituals called spirit cooking, where she'll have like these, you know, Lady Gaga and this guy and that girl, like the elite of Hollywood will come to these parties where they'll set up like actual, like, you know, exhibits that look like real people, you know, like the fake. Yeah. You know how they have like cake or fake where they'll make something that looks really realistic, but then they cut into it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, they do stuff like that with human bodies and they'll make really grotesque looking human, like food type things where they'll actually have real naked humans that they eat off of. And they do that's very satanic and dark. And they'll like dip into, you'll have to look it up, the spirit cooking.
Okay.
It's really morbid.
Okay,
and they'll just look like they're eating like human body parts and things. Like it's like, who the hell does this? And they're basically satanic rituals.
Yeah.
And this lady's connected to Jay-Z and the who's who of the, you know, there's a lot of satanic symbolism that happens in the music industry. It's really interesting. It goes way back to that stuff. Like, do you ever see anything? Do you remember back when we were younger?
Yep.
They talked a lot about the music industry being like having magic spells and Satanism, and like Christians were really saying
anything about this.
Like Judas Priest and a lot of these early heavy metal bands had a lot of satanic imagery.
Right.
And Christian parents and things were really up in arms. And then there was this real satanic scare where there was a lot of people doing satanic rituals. And there was stories of satanic cults that were doing ritual sacrifices and horrible rituals. And, you know, you may not have remembered that. You don't remember the satanic scare of the 80s?
I'm not following along at all.
Well, yeah, you remember Geraldo Rivera.
Yeah.
He did a lot of reporting on it back then. Well, I don't want to take you into territory you're not too familiar with, but the thing about the Satanism is that there's a lot of information that's come out over the years. There's like the Franklin cover-up, which was about Boys Town out there in the middle of the country, where they took a lot of like orphan boys, I think, and they had like this special place with this Father Flanagan guy. And it was a school for boys. And then there was this guy named Larry King, who was like a Ponzi scheme scumbag banker that was in Washington, D.C., and he was highly connected into the political scene with funding and stuff. And apparently he threw these parties where he would procure young boys from Boys Town and fly them into Washington, D.C., and they would go to these parties with these rich D.C. homosexual political figures. And it was people like George Bush, like they were sneaking them into George Bush's White House. This was in the news back then. And there was all these like rapes of boys, and they would come in and get them high on drugs and then make them do like sex acts and stuff and then fly them back to Boys Town. It was horrible. And the things that came out and some of the stories of what they were doing was just ungodly. Like there was murder going on and terrible acts. These were depraved individuals. So these stories have come out and been banned. There was a Discovery Channel documentary all about it that was banned from going on an early Discovery. When Discovery Channel first came out, they were going to air this, and it got banned. So now you can see it for free on YouTube if you look up the Franklin cover-up or whatever. I can't remember what the exact name of the documentary was, but it was something like that. But Really interesting. So this stuff goes way back, and there's tons of stories about this internationally. They'll find these pedophile rings, and the Trump administration's busted a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So whether or not, you know, Epstein was into doing that stuff, it seems like there may be some of that, but you know, there's a lot of murmurings that this kind of stuff goes on with people like Epstein and these upper echelon people of society having like creepy parties.
Yeah.
There was a video that's been going around in the last couple of days because of Epstein. There was this woman, I think she was a model, and she may have been in South America. I'm not exactly sure. She looked South American. And somebody got her on video screaming about she went to this party and she said that they were murdering people and eating human flesh.
So this is the
eating
satanic
babies
rituals?
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was screaming to people, got it on video. Like she came out of this party and when she was screaming for help on the street and somebody started videotaping her with her phone because she sounded hysterical and she's wearing like a party dress. And she's like, they're eating people in there. They're eating people. Like she'd come down from this party, wherever she was.
Yeah.
Hysterical. She was never seen again.
Okay.
Then that video is going around now. So look into that too.
Right.
So this stuff is going on, man. Some of these people are very sick individuals. They live in a different reality than the rest of us, where they're above the law and they can do depraved things. Why they do depraved things, I don't know. Is Satan in control of the world? That's what some people think.
Yeah.
It seems like they may think that if they're going to these lengths to do these horrific things for power, or is it that they protect the power? Like maybe when you get to a certain level of power, they're like, well, if you're going to be a media mogul, we've got to have some hardcore evidence on you. So you're going to have to do this terribly depraved act on video. And you're not going to cross certain lines. And you're going to, when we have an agenda, you're going to push the agenda. Right. I think they may do that. You know, that's the price that certain people pay when you get to a level. But who knows? It's all hearsay, but the more that comes out about it, the more real all that crazy stuff seems. Yeah, weird thing I put up on Facebook. Did you see the thing I put on Facebook about Bill Gates the other day?
Did I might have. You post a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, I post too much.
What was it?
So weirdly enough, I used to live in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, with some friends when I was younger, like 19, early 20s. And we had like construction and painting companies down there. So there was a big building boom back then in the late 90s. So I lived down there and I ended up renting this house with a couple of people I knew that were younger than me. They were just out of college. And, well, this was later on. Yeah, they were just going into college. Young guys, drank too much. Right. But nonetheless, I remember this like younger girl coming back with one of them. And I feel like she came back with her boyfriend to the house and they were hanging out, doing whatever. And she was on her phone. And I remember she and her boyfriend, he was like, oh, it's Bill again or something. And she was like, yeah. And then she looks up from her phone at me and she goes, yeah, Bill Gates texts me all the time and calls me all day long. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like at the time, Bill Gates was the richest man in the world. Now there's a lot of rich ass people in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware now. There's DuPonts and, Joe Biden has a house down in Rehoboth Beach. He was the governor of Delaware at the time. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was like, what are you talking about? Bill Gates calls you. This girl's like just a young girl. Like, why would he call? I was like, but I was thinking I already knew all this stuff about like weird pedophile shit that these upper, elite people do. And she goes, and her boyfriend and her were just kind of laughing like it was an inside joke, but it wasn't. It was such a weird joke. And she didn't act like she was acting like she wasn't kidding. But she was acting like they couldn't say too much, too. Yeah. But
did you tell me about this before the show?
No, but I talked about it with you probably previously because I posted the story because it came to me when I saw this about Bill Gates coming out in the Epstein files that he actually likes Russian girls. And he apparently caught an STD from some Russian prostitutes.
Oh, that's right.
And was trying to get antibiotics from Epstein to give to his wife, slip into his wife's coffee, into Melinda Gates' coffee, who has since divorced Bill Gates and says he's a terrible person. She wants justice. And she said that he was an unfaithful guy, like she knew he was up to this stuff. Yeah. Now, when I lived down there, I worked at this ice cream store right on the boardwalk. I got it through a friend. I got this job for the summer as a manager of an ice cream store. It was this great old fashioned ice cream store, like right there as you get on the boardwalk. And he would have, the guy that owned the place would have these foreign exchange workers come in, like all over the beach area. They would bring in girls from Russia, from England, from different countries, but a lot of them came from Russia. And they were pretty girls. And from what I heard, they had to be from some means or they wouldn't let them get the visa because they didn't want them to defect over here. So like they had to come from rich families usually. Mm-hmm. But they'd come and they'd work their asses off and they'd make a bunch of money. And they lived in beach houses that, they rented for them. So it was part of my job is I had to manage some of these Russian girls, probably 5 or 6 of them. And then some English girls, one of them I dated. And yeah, it was cool anyway. But, getting to think of what Bill's into. And I got this young girl that I'm thinking back saying that Bill Gates calls her every day. And here's all these Russian girls down there on work visas. Who knows if some of them were being trafficked? I don't know what the deal was. It was weird. Yeah. It was a lot of pretty girls. They were often pretty, like somebody was thumbing through the files. They weren't letting the dogs off the leash over here, put it that way. So, yeah, it was cool, man. I had fun hanging out with those Russian girls. Had some interesting time. Those stories will come out, but yeah, I wondered.
So stoned, dude.
Yeah, I got you too stoned.
Yeah,
well, that's all right,
stoned.
Dude. I like doing all the talking. Anyway.
I know, but yeah.
See, Silas is supposed to be the everyman. No. You're the everyman guy that doesn't know all this crazy shit about satanic ritual abuse, and that's what's good about it.
I don't know. I don't have anything to respond.
Let me teach. Well, there's nothing to respond.
You're just like just teaching me a bunch of stuff.
Well, that's what I'm hoping to do.
Yeah, well,
that's why I know all this shit.
Yeah, I know, but I gotta have feedback, and it's not working. So
no, I like the feedback of just letting me talk about it, honestly, because you don't have to know it. That's the thing. Everybody thinks they have to know stuff.
Yeah.
And like I find that a lot on Facebook. Like I'll share information. I'm a bit of a know-it-all, but mostly if I'm talking about something, I want to provide some facts.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people get kind of like get a little bit off put by getting new information because they get in their mind their cognitive dissonance. They know what they want to believe, and they don't really want anything to change that. So, people act like they already know everything, and you're like, well, I could tell you something that may affect your opinion, but they won't let it in. So, it's okay to get new information and not have anything to say. Sometimes people can just teach you stuff.
Right.
So tonight I'm teaching you about eating babies and satanic rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could tell you a lot more. We'll tell you. Well, I'll tell you, some more stuff to scare the shit out of you. But anyway, it's a fun thing. It's a fun topic in a way because it's fucking crazy that these people are into this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just
this is real.
I know. I don't know anything about it.
No, you shouldn't.
It sounds crazy.
It's horrible that this exists. Dude.
Yeah.
I've watched hours and hours of stuff on this stuff.
Right.
I've looked up this stuff. Like if you look up that Franklin cover-up on Wikipedia, it was sanitized off of there long ago. Like I knew Wikipedia was co-opted by the CIA or whoever years ago.
Right.
And it turns out it is. It's totally manicured.
I'm going to have to look that up because I can't even remember what you told me about.
Well, I'll send you all the videos, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's my fault for getting you stoned. And, but it's a fact is that I know a lot of weird stuff. See, I've spent years looking into all kinds of these subjects. You're not going to even have an idea about most of the stuff that I talk about, but I'm hoping that I can share it with you and that that some of it's interesting. Well, you're supposed to be pulling up stuff. So I think we didn't have much. Well, you did well enough. Yeah. Well, let's see what else we got on the list here, man. You got to pull it together for me.
Yeah, well,
this is episode 6. I can't have you fall apart on episode 6. What subject do you want to hear about next? Should we talk about baby eating some more, or should we talk about Bill Gates' STDs? Which one?
Is that what we got left?
No, actually, we had Homan. So let's get a little bit in about Minnesota. Okay. Homan went in and calmed things down. It looks like so. Mayor Jacob Frey.
Right. Homan went in.
Homan took over for Bovino in Minnesota.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
And the protests have simmered down. Yeah.
Oh,
Soros called the dogs off. So now all the protesters are simmering down. Homan went in and he's withdrawing 700 federal agents.
Right. Out of the 3,500 or whatever.
There was 3,000 at the peak.
Okay.
And now they're down. They're going to have it down to like 2,000, I said.
Yeah.
But he said that it's because of unprecedented collaboration. I was trying to do a Homan impression before.
Oh, yeah.
Unprecedented collaboration. He kind of talks kind of stupid. But he thinks you're stupid. But he knows he sounds stupid, but you're stupid. Yeah, he knows he's not stupid. He's really good at calming people down because he's like that. He's the guy that you're not going to. He is like the immovable object meets the unstoppable force in one guy. You can tell Tom Homan is not going to be swayed in any direction. Like he is a no-nonsense dude, and he's kind of like the authority. Who's going to push Tom Homan around?
What was his
Everybody's going to do what Tom Homan says. What happened to our show? Did something just fuck up?
One of the cameras went off. Yeah.
Which one?
It would have been.
Well, technical difficulties. Did your phone die?
No, it's plugged in.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it'll be all right. We'll just finish up by saying that Tom Homan really calmed it down there, and it seems to be that the protesters went home. I haven't been seeing as much. Maybe there's still some around, but
yeah, it certainly hasn't been on the news because there's been other stuff. The news cycle has changed, moved on.
It changes, but he said that because of unprecedented collaboration. So what that means is that the prisons are now going to be handing over illegal criminals. He's going to be focusing almost solely on the criminals, and they're going to have the prisons are going to hand these people over now to ICE and Border Patrol so they can deport them with less agents. He can draw down the force.
Yeah.
And then I think the local law enforcement and the state law enforcement are also claiming that they're going to be collaborating to, help with these investigations or so, in some way, or maybe just stay the hell out of the way, or they're going to support them in some way.
Yeah.
But really what they needed to do is have the NGOs and these people who are trying to subvert the country call off their protesters, stop lying to them, stop putting people and waiting for more people to get killed, because that's what they were hoping more people would get shot by ICE. I mean, they're sending them right up to them,
They were hoping.
It's a damn shame. Yeah, I really think that they were hoping people got shot. The more people that got killed, the better it was for them politically.
The protesters?
The left.
Oh, the left, yeah.
The leftist politicians, Tim Walton, Jacob Frey, and these guys, and Ilhan Omar, all of them. They're all crooked. Crooked as a dog's leg, as they say. But and everybody is going to think everybody's crooked. Trump's probably crooked too. But I'll tell you something about Trump. I remember this gangster I saw interviewed who said that they would get to all the builders. You imagine Trump dealt with a lot of mafia if he's like a big shot in New York City. The guy's a huge builder.
I guess
Mafia's got their hands in a lot of stuff.
Would have. Yeah.
Right. So what I heard was from this gangster that was interviewed, I wish I could remember who it was. He said that they knew that they couldn't get near Trump. So they would move in on anybody and try to get in on the business or muscle him. But they couldn't get to Trump because Trump always hired personal security that was comprised of former FBI agents.
Yeah.
So he always had like the feds around him. And they're like, well, we can't get close to the guy and muscle him. He's always got, FBI agent bodyguards. There's more stuff shutting off. One by one, we're losing cameras.
That's bizarre, man. Oh, I wonder if that whole power pack over there is not plugged in or something.
No, it should be.
Well, they're both. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it looks like technical difficulties or like maybe the spirit world's shutting this down. Well, we'll have to look at the content. I don't want to get, I think I'm on 5 lists after that. I'm going to be in lists internationally after this podcast, but I'm glad that
I can't even keep up.
The fact of the matter is I wanted to start a podcast a while back because I really like talking about this stuff. Right. So, having somebody to sit here and talk about it with, you don't ever have to feel like you've got to jump. You would need so much time wasted on reading crazy shit.
Right.
Yeah. Well, don't be upset with your performance. Yeah. Okay, man. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And hopefully we talked about some interesting stuff. Try to keep up to date with what's going on in the news. Don't fall behind. Stay objective. There's a lot of crazy stuff coming out, and we're all going to have to, keep our wits about us.
For sure, man.
Yeah. And, love your families and enjoy your time with people. Enjoy the peace while we've got it, and hopefully we can keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody can just get along.
That's how we usually sign off.
Yeah. Let's all get along out there. And we love y'all from the Phrogs attic, and we'll see you on episode 7. I won't get Silas Stone next time.
Or we'll do 6 again.
No. We're going on to 7, man. All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you.
All right. Cheers.